All right. Welcome back to another episode of What's Hockey. As you can tell, my demeanor's a little lower than what it normally is.
Classic.
Keaton, the Dallas Stars were just eliminated out of the playoffs by Edmonton. It ends in six.
Yeah, I
Before I
called it
go, before
the
I,
wrong team.
sorry,
I said I called it in six, just the wrong team.
you did.
Yeah.
Before I go off on my spiel, would you like to give us your thoughts on that series or the final game in general?
I feel like the series itself was just kind of a little bit weird because it started out like pretty strong, and for whatever reason, it seemed like the Rangers and Stars mirrored wins and losses. So that was also just kind of a weird thing to happen between the two series. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like the first game. I'm not sure. Was it like 3-1 or something like that? I can't remember, but I
The
just kind of
first
assumed because Dallas wasn't the strongest home
game one
team, they
was
were
three
better on the
two.
road.
It went to double
Oh, okay,
OT.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, either way, just felt like they just kind of stuck in the series up until the what was it, game four, and then they hit that 3-win streak.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of still felt like the Stars had the upper hand regardless. But um, yeah, just kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, as far as a series recap goes, I mean, the first game is a double OT. The Stars win the next two, including a win in Edmonton. Or we're both in Edmonton. No, just one in Edmonton. And then we lose the next
Yeah,
three. It was the most frustrating part was the lack of offenses in the lack of offense in games 3 and 4. Game two, I'm sorry, games 4 and 5 were the bad offensive games. Game three, we put up
yeah,
5 goals, and one was, of course,
that's
a
terrible
empty
offense,
netter.
bro.
But yeah, I misspoke there. But the offense in game 4 and 5 was just abysmal. We started dumping and chasing, and we did that in this last game in game six, where dude, there was a time we're on the power play and we're dumping and chasing, like that is abysmal. And do not get me wrong. Before the series started, I brought up that Edmonton has the best penalty kill in the league. They have the best power play kill in the league throughout the playoffs. And so you knew it was
Yeah,
going to be dangerous when they're on the power play, and when they're on the penalty kill, it's going to be tough to score. And we could not break through when we were on the power play. And look, some of my frustrations. I mean, I know you're not supposed to blame the ref. Like there were countless times the Dallas Stars should have scored both on 5-and-5 and on the power play in Game 6 to tie the game to keep it going. But my God, I mean, like you want the refs to just call it even. You don't. I'm not so biased to say like you need to be calling everything for us and nothing for them. Just call it even. Call it
yeah.
fair. If you're going to call it for one side, call it on the other. I swear to God, I still think this. I'm the only team that's ever seen Dallas get or Dallas is the only team to get an embellishment in the playoffs. Like the first penalty when Tanev trips him. Do not get me wrong. Tanev does make contact with the shin, but like a half second later, the guy crumbles to the ground. Like I don't know, piranhas attacked his foot or something. I mean, that's an embellishment right there.
Who
But they go
knows,
on the
man? Ten might have some piranhas on his shin.
I suppose, but they go on the power play. Connor McDavid makes an incredible goal. Like it was
Ridiculous.
insane. So I mean, credit to him. I have to give him that.
A
But
talented
should they have been on the
player.
power
Just
play or should it?
on the wrong team.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been a 4-on-4 in my opinion. But hey, whatever. They do get that one. We have
Yeah.
plenty of time to come back, and then before the first period ends, they do get another penalty. 10 seconds after a high stick to the face to Dallas, which goes uncalled. Uh, it's a 1v1 between the goalie and I forget the Oilers player, but then oh god, I'm blanking on the Stars player too, but
Hyman?
Donov I think it
Oh.
was, who comes from behind. He does hit him in the hand. It's slashing, and they do score on the power play again, making it 2-0. The entire game, though, even before those power plays, the second, third period, it was all Dallas. We're getting all of our shots on goal. Were they the greatest quality? Not always, but dude, Skinner's not God. Like we could have definitely got one past him. He played well. I'll give him credit. But our inability to score when we're on the power play was killer. We do get one back late in the game, and it's not enough. We lose 2-1. We lose the series 4-2. Um, and it sucks, man. I hate that.
Going back to Skinner not really being a god, I don't know if you saw or heard about this, but I saw a tweet that apparently, I can't remember the guy's name, but this meditation coach that helped like Kobe, Michael Jackson, like a lot of like star players, was like helping Stuart Skinner. And he like came up after the game, was like hugging him, was like, oh, my man, like you did a great job kind of thing. So it seems like they like bolstered up in the last little bit. So I don't know like when he was hired, but like, it could have been this series.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he played a hell of a game to be honest, but
I
yeah,
mean,
overall it shouldn't have really been such a mismatched game.
yeah.
Because it was 30, what was it, 34 shots to 10?
Yeah, two
Like,
coming
what
on
was
the
that?
power play, so 8 in open ice on 5-on-5.
Yeah,
Edmonton really did not play the better game, but they do get the win. I got to stop being bitter
yeah.
about that. I mean, to Edmonton's credit, Keaton. I mean, months ago, they
They've
were
got a
the.
great front
If
porch.
I'm not wrong, okay. If I'm not wrong, Edmonton was the first team to fire their coach, right? Towards the beginning of, or I guess it was
I don't know
around
if it was the
November,
first
December.
one, but they were pretty early. Yeah, I mean, probably within 20 games
I mean,
or
and I
less.
remember us talking about it here on the podcast, and we were talking about how, they do have the
Because they were like
talent.
dead fucking last. So,
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
they
defensively
needed to
they
do
were,
something.
yeah, defensively they were trash. They of course had the offensive acumen, but one thing that remind me of their new head coach's name, I'm blanking on it.
Knobloch, Chris, I
Knobloch. The
believe.
one thing that he really implemented was that the third and fourth lines were going to play more. They were going to be a bigger part of the game. It's going to allow Draisaitl and McDavid to rest. It's going to build confidence in those back end players. And before the series, we talked about how I said Edmonton it's a front loaded team. They don't have the depth that the Stars do. Well, their depth played better than our depth. Their depth played great games. They did exactly what they needed to, and then when the Stars, when it was their time to shine, they shone. So it's credit to Edmonton. They deserve to be where they are. The Stars clearly. I mean, like there's I have some complaints, but honestly, most of it should be looking back at the Stars for their inability to get their offense going to a dump and chase offensive strategy. It was tough to watch. And the Stars, who they were that last series, it's almost night and day compared to who they were against Vegas and Colorado. And Edmonton stepped up. So credit to them. They're going to the finals. Uh, Keaton, the team they're playing in the finals, the Florida Panthers, you had them going to the finals as well. Do you want to tell us more about that series?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed how the Panthers played. In my opinion, at least, they played fairly similarly to the Stars in that last game. I mean, they just put up so many shots on goal compared to the Rangers, and just seemed like they outplayed them on every end for the most part. I mean, it just seemed like the Rangers would get the more precise plays, the good goals, and, would have the more strategic plays, but they would probably only maybe get 25 shots on goal, maybe. And it's just, they're churning out some, good offense, but overall when you're just getting like overwhelmed with what the Panthers have and Sam Reinhart, Kachuk, they've got Sam Bennett, Barkov, even Forsling stepped up. Like they've got so many players that just put pucks on net, and Rangers just couldn't keep up. Igor Shesterkin was great, but you can't save them all.
And he can't
So
score the goals for them. Like he can only do what he
that
can on
too.
his end.
Actually, Bobrovsky got a point in that series. I don't know if you remember, but it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Up until I believe maybe game 5 or 6, he had more points in that series than Zibanejad had. So it was just pretty crazy. But I mean, you either
You
way,
know,
the played great.
you,
But yeah,
you're
what were you
talking
gonna say?
about teams mirroring each other. It really felt like what I perceived with Edmonton being top loaded and not having the back end. And it was the opposite of what I thought of New York, where I thought they had great depth. that depth did
Yeah.
not show at all this past series. Like
Well, it
there
seemed
were
like they had
multiple.
certain pieces here and there, but like it's just like, oh, that he may be in the third line, and then they've got starters in the first line, of course, but like,
Mm,
the second and fourth line may not be doing much, kind of thing. So it's
yeah,
just spotty offense, decent defense here and there, but I mean, it just felt very bland, and that's just kind of what I picked up when they were playing the Carolina Canes, and I don't know. It just kind of felt like the Canes would have had it, but I guess they were also pretty bland. Aho played pretty well, but other than that, I mean, they just didn't really have much of a power packed
dude. The
offense.
Rangers this last series scored above 2 goals one time.
Yeah,
Like it in
exactly.
game, what game was that? In game three, and that's the one that went to overtime. Uh, that was the crazy game too, right? Where Florida had like 90 shots
It
and New
was like,
York,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it was 4-4, which is even crazier because that was probably the biggest scoring game of that entire series. And that's like, every other game for any other West Series game for the most part.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they've got a stud in Shesterkin, but like I said, you just can't save them all. So you got to get some sort of
And
workaround. You got to get some more playmakers on offense. I mean, it seems like they've got a pretty decent defense. They just need to execute a little bit better. I mean, like I said, they're taking up more of a precision approach, but I mean, with Florida's just overwhelming running your team down, I mean, you don't really have a chance in the third period when they just keep at it.
I mean, more
So,
often than not, when you're peppering the goalie, something's going to fall for a rebound, especially if you're crashing the net very well.
what was it?
Like,
There was like a few of them that bounced off the goalie's ass and just popped right in. So I mean, it's just one of those things. This physics works for you.
and like I hate to go back to the Stars, but that last game, them losing 2-1 when you're attacking the way they were, it reminds me of the game that Florida loses at home, where they shoot 90 times and lose game three as well. Um,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
because those are anomalies. If you're continuing the pressure,
Just
good
because they
pressure,
stuck in the
sustained
game
pressure,
and didn't get the goals.
you should win the game. And so, like, Florida does lose that game, but they really did control a lot of the series. And Florida absolutely, dude, they're so deep, man. Like, you listed off all the
Yeah,
players. I don't even think, did you mention Verhage? Like, they've got so
yeah. I
many
didn't mention
players.
Verhage or
Montour
was it
stepped up a little
Tarasenko,
bit.
Montour.
Tarasenko, dude,
Yeah,
like
they've
they
got
have
studs.
so many good players. And so, I mean, going into this series to the Stanley Cup final, my goodness, I mean, it's the extremely hot Edmonton Oilers, the Florida Panthers, who are just deep, good, uh, consistent. I'm looking forward to a very good series. Keaton, do you want to give me your prediction for this series and maybe why you feel it'll go that way?
I mean, I personally think that the Florida Panthers will get it in. I mean,
Whoa.
personally, just because it seems like the Oilers have a similar approach to what the Rangers are doing, even though they've got a bit of a power packed offense. It just seems like they're really just stuck on hanging in the games and not necessarily full force, unloading everything you've got, just shoving it all in their face and
Oh my
just
God.
coming
This is the
over
most
and over
innuendo
again.
laden projection of a series I've ever heard.
But just never know what's gonna happen. But I do still feel like the Panthers definitely have the edge in this. So
You think
yeah,
they edge them
it'll
out?
be a good series regardless. I think it might go to 7 games, but I don't know. It just felt like the Oilers just didn't really get much of a challenge up until the Canucks, and then the Canucks didn't really pose much of a threat.
Mm.
And I believe Dallas had the harder road. They were just beat up. I don't know. It just seems like they were like a shell of themselves in that last series.
Yeah.
So it could just be possible that they may not end. end up being the winners. But they have a chance to end that. What was it? 31 years that the Canada teams have not won the Stanley Cup. So
It's somewhere up there.
they
Yeah,
they
it's
can
insane.
win. They can do it. But I don't know. I just really do feel like the Panthers do have that edge, and you know it is the National Hockey League. So
What game did you say that one's going to finish up in?
I don't know, 7, I guess. I don't 6.
Florida in 7, 6 or 7.
That's one of those.
I'm putting you down for 7. That's what you said first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as how I feel, I definitely agree with you on a ton of those points. I do think I remember describing New York as saying that like they might have some unnamed depth there that shows up and they're just not stars to us. That right now to me is Edmonton. Edmonton is they're to me they just play in the system very well. Outside of the stars are stars. They're gonna go above and beyond. That's Draisaitl and McDavid, right? But everyone else on that team, their defensive lines, they do their job very well. They're very structured on the power play. They do a very good job of not allowing inside pressure, which was something Dallas could have very much used. And they could not penetrate the Oilers. The Oilers' penalty kill is spectacular. Their power play is spectacular.
Like they had a chastity belt.
Yeah. God. Now that being said, Florida's very quick. They're talented. I mean, like we've seen them go ahead and take care of. I thought their first 2 rounds, their opposition wasn't up to snuff. Although, you know what, the Lightning can pose challenges. Of course, they have good stars on that team. Boston knows how to just fight to the end. Basically, that sounds so generic. I do realize that. But then you go ahead and play New York, the team with the most points in the league, and you handily beat them, handily, and against a good goalie too. So I hope that motivational coach is helping Skinner going into this because I think he's in for a hell of a whipping coming from Florida.
It's more meditation and like focus and stuff, not motivation. But
He's
yeah,
gonna need to keep them eyes open for this series. My goodness, I do think
just
Florida
keep
is going to
going.
be given more problems against Edmonton than they did against New York, just for the fact that if you commit, and you have to be perfect, you commit a penalty, you're going to allow a goal. And when you get on the power play, you might not score. And so I think it's going to be a very tasking series for them. I don't think it'll be as easy as it was against New York. That being said, I do think Florida wins the series in 6, just because I think Edmonton, uh, like we were talking about earlier in the Star Series, in 5-on-5 own play, they were not that good. And I don't think Florida will have to resort to dump and chasing. So I think the 5 on normally power plays, penalty kills in an even matchup will prove prove valuable for that team and they'll go on and win it. But I don't think it's that even. I think Florida's going to take this series, and I think they do it in 6.
Yeah, and I mean, I do believe more in Bobrovsky compared to Skinner or what was it, Picard. So I mean, whoever they put at net, I mean, I don't know. It's
It
nowhere
was
near
Picard
the
for a
level
bit,
of
but
what
it looks like
Bobrovsky's doing.
they're trusting Skinner for the rest of the series. I think.
Sure, I mean, either way, but I mean, they've got him. So if they do end up using him, I don't. Either way, it just doesn't seem like they're going to do anything
Oh yeah, 100%.
great.
Um,
But I mean, I could be wrong, and I was wrong against the Oilers. But Stars just had no chance.
that man, yeah, I've talked enough about that, but I will say, Keaton, I got to crown you as the playoff predictor champion. I think at best I could have tied you,
Pretty
but
good.
your bracket is head and shoulders above mine.
Well, I think I had the clear cut with Florida going all the way, but
Yeah,
uh, yeah, it was pretty wild. I did believe that the Canes would beat the Rangers, but I just couldn't do it. And yeah, don't know what the Stars were doing. But
Mm.
yeah, those were basically my only. Well, the Boston
Boston and
stuff. I
Toronto,
thought
you
they
had
were
to
going to
go the other
lose,
way. But I mean,
but
you only missed two the entire playoffs. I missed an entire side basically. The upper right quadrant, I had Tampa over Florida,
classic.
Toronto over Boston,
The
which means
Islanders.
neither of them.
Wow.
I had the Islanders over Carolina.
Imagine.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, the thing, yeah, yeah. But we
They
both
didn't
got
deserve to be in the playoffs, dude. Neither
the
the
Islanders,
Capitals or
yeah.
the Islanders, in my
No, that's
opinion,
fair.
deserved to
And
be there.
against Carolina too, who throughout the regular season played
I
well.
mean,
We
they
got a
were like
good
right
team.
under the Rangers. They were like a few points under. Like I think if it weren't for the Stars, I believe they would have been second for the President's Trophy or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I
more than
can't
anything,
remember,
I was just
but
going for some upsets. I didn't think that every favorite
classic.
could win, but pretty much everyone did except for Dallas at the end, which
Yeah, I don't know
sucked.
if Toronto was the
I was
favorite,
just
but
about, yeah, I
yeah,
just saw that. Yeah, yeah, Boston probably upset them there. Um,
which
yeah,
is pretty weird because Austin Matthews played a hell of a year. So yeah,
he did get hurt
um,
in that series, right? He missed a game or two,
yeah, I think he
but they did
missed
win
like
one
the
game with
last
him
two or
out.
three.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but
yeah, I don't know,
yeah.
man. I think it. As far as my
I think that
predictions
was
go,
because didn't they go like 4-1 or something? Or
ooh, wow, I
was it
forget
7?
what that one finished. I thought
I
it
can't
went
remember.
6 or 7.
It could have been
Give
7.
me three
Yeah, it was 7.
seconds.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Too slow, bro.
Well, we'll
It's
see
pretty
if
crazy. I didn't expect so many game or series rather to go to 7.
man the hockey
Um,
playoffs. Like, I think they're the most competitive playoffs as far as like the four
at least
major sports
where
go.
they went to 7 rather, not necessarily like because I felt like the last two series they should have went to 7 because they played pretty much good years on either end. But yeah, it's just weird because Dallas and Vegas went to 7, Vancouver and Edmonton went to 7, and Boston and Toronto went to 7. So other than that, they were just kind of a weird placement of those 7 game series.
For sure, for sure. All right. Well, hey, I think that's all. Keaton, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, just get ready for the Stanley Cup. It should come here, and I believe Saturday on the 8th. Is that Saturday? Probably wrong.
Yeah. Great
Yeah,
question. Yes,
Saturday, June
Saturday.
8th is the first game of the series, so keep out
So
or keep
next
an eye out.
time you'll hear from us, it'll be after game two, presumably. We'll let y'all know
Okay.
how that series is going. If there's other NHL news, firings,
Is it still every
hirings,
other day?
yeah, they'll
Or
be
is it
playing Saturday and
okay.
Monday, and then they'll actually take a few. They'll take 2 days off, play Thursday, then Saturday, and then Tuesday.
Because
So
I feel
three
like they
days off
probably
there.
don't really care about, I guess, scheduling for the last series
It's
as much as
in between each. They're given an extra travel day. So like if you're at
yeah.
home,
Because
it's
it's I
two
think that's
days.
the longest between each Stanley Cup opposers or whatever. It's the
It's
longest
quite the
distance.
distance.
Florida and
The
Edmonton.
southeast versus the far northwest. Yeah, it's they're gonna log a lot of flight miles this upcoming series. But yeah, they're giving an extra travel day between
Yeah,
games there. So yeah,
understandably so.
we'll give y'all an update next week. We'll let y'all know how that's going. But for
Is it
now,
in? Do you know where it
they
starts?
start in
Florida.
Edmonton.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
okay.
sorry. I'm sorry. No. They start in Florida.
Okay.
Florida is given the 4 games.
Because
Edmonton
I
has
believe they did
3
better
home
overall
games.
in the regular season,
They
so
did
they
by a
should have
pretty large
had the.
margin.
Was it
Uh,
really? I don't know. I mean, the Oilers didn't do that bad, but I didn't think it was that large of a margin.
well, I mean, the Oilers were like fourth or fifth in the conference, right?
I thought they were like second.
Nah, second, no.
Dude, it
Uh,
was Vegas
they
and
finished second in their division.
LA
The
for
Canucks
third
were
and
above
fourth.
them.
That's what I just said.
I said in the conference, not the division. The Oilers finished with 104. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 teams ahead of them in points. They were fifth.
In the conference.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Nah, bro.
All right, it doesn't matter. They got hot when it mattered most. Yeah, I know. I don't know why I got so animated on that. All right, well, hey, y'all take it easy. We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.